Yay, so here we are with the very first interview ever on Surrender is a Verb. And I'm here with Mary Ann Illing, and it is a joy and an honor to have her presence here on this podcast, sharing her magic and her juiciness. And thank you for being here, Mary Ann.
Thank you.
So to start, before we get into surrender and how you have experienced surrender in your life, tell us who you are and who you be and what the magic is that you bring to this world.
Well, we'll start off with surrender. My name is Marianne Elling. I have just changed my entire business to be the empowered woman from what was originally known as my collective, because it is my mission to help every woman on this planet be seen, heard, and felt, to provide a space for that to happen. So that is really me in a nutshell. Like you, I completely resonate in magic and miracles, and that's what I believe we're here for and we can experience. And that's what happens when you surrender. Magic can be, miracles can be. So that is really me in a nutshell. A lot of the modalities I cover in the work I do are embodiment, theta healing, womb wisdom, womb wellness. And I started off actually, weirdly enough, finishing my honors degree in psychology. And little did I know that the path I would be led onto, every little piece of the puzzle came together. So I moved in from honors in psychology, specializing in the field of trauma. And I do believe it is why I can hold the space I can today. And the space I hold is known as red tent space. It is an ancient practice that has come into a modern day movement. And how beautiful it is to circle with women who have a space to be seen, heard, and felt, and where they can really come into a space and tell their story. And it comes from their heart space, and it takes us out of the mind, and then we can become the observer of our life instead of the victim. So I'm really about midwifing women through their rites of passage, which basically means we have many different rites of passage through our lifetime. And as women, we be initiated into them, because a lot of what we experience in this lifetime is the patriarchy. And the patriarchy is just what we've always known. We don't know any different. So for women to really come into their own and be their natural selves and speak their truth, that's very much what I'm about. So I hope that answers your
It does.
questions.
It does. And it's glorious and beautiful. And I just want to thank you for what it is that you do in this world, because it sounds so simple. And I want you to say it again, that you create a space where women can be seen,
Heard and
heard,
felt.
and felt. Like that alone is incredible. And I know because I've been in your spaces, and I also know, having moved through other, let's call it sacred circles of sisterhood, it was the first time that I experienced, number one, alchemy, magic, and non-judgement. Just being held and being seen and being heard and being felt. If we could just give that to everybody, and that's your mission.
Yeah.
That's your mission. Yeah. What a different world we would live in. So that's incredible.
I believe that, and I believe by doing that, we're changing and we're paving a new way for future generations. Because if you look at the role of a woman, once she comes and she can surrender into that space and be seen, heard, and felt, it changes her relationships, it changes the dynamics with her children. And I really believe then all the the patterning that we go through and the deconditioning, it can stop with you. And
Yes.
that paves a beautiful pathway for our children.
Yes. And just as you're sharing with me what's coming in, it's a little bit loopy, but that's okay. We love loopy. So as you were sharing with me, I got a sense of how the work that you do it's basically allowing humanity to evolve into higher consciousness.
Yeah.
And when we consider that there are cosmic beings, evolved beings that exist beyond just us little humans on Mother Earth, I would imagine that these evolved beings, if you think of Atlantis in the days of Atlantis at its height, that would be where we all are heard, seen, and felt.
Mm.
Right.
I have goosebumps because for the longest time I believed I was one of those beings from Atlantis.
Yeah.
And it's a remembering, right? So it's a remembering of what you've had before and what your soul is here to do.
Yes.
So that seen, heard, and felt, that was my healing journey. And I thank God for it every day. And it is a why. If I've seen what can happen, I've seen what's happened in my own life. But I love how if you step it up a level, and we're all there in non-judgment,
Yes.
holding a space, then we can move past. You've got such a beautiful friend, Nadine, and she was speaking about how we're in Chiron. And once we move past Chiron, all the wars, everything else will stop. But if we come together collectively, we can push the needle forward so much quicker.
Absolutely. Wow. Love it. So this being heard, seen, and felt, is that part of your surrender journey?
No, that's part of my healing journey.
Okay. It's
But
interesting because
yeah,
like for me, if I think of surrender personally, it's
mm.
connected to I see it as part of my healing journey. So how do you see it? Tell me, tell me, tell me.
How do I see surrender?
Well, yes. And how is it different from your healing
Okay,
journey as well?
okay. So surrender for me is letting go and letting God or the universe or source or spirit or whatever you call it to be. So if I just sit back and I let spirit take over, the pressure's not on me. It's it's moving me forward on my soul's purpose and journey. And I really believe we're here to learn soul lessons, and that's the whole point.
Yes.
Otherwise, we wouldn't be here. So surrender is really me just following the purpose, following my soul, allowing spirit to lead and to lead my life intuitively like that. So that's how I see surrender. It's not, it's me getting out of my own way and just allowing.
Yes.
And that is such a feminine principle, is to sit back and allow. So that really, for me, is what surrender is. If I look at my healing path and my healing journey, I have had to surrender, I agree with you, in order to heal. So although I see it as different, I see what you're saying, but the frequency of it and the energy of it is one and the same, because I couldn't have healed if I didn't surrender.
And I would say it works the other way around as well. You need to sometimes heal parts of yourself in order to be able to trust and surrender.
100%. That old me would have never surrendered.
Yes.
Surrender is a verb. And it's not always easy to do.
So tell me about your surrender then.
My surrender journey or my
Tell
surrender.
me in terms of surrender for you.
Mm,
Okay, because now, yes, I understand. For me, surrender is the same, and probably for everybody listening, it's that ability
mm,
to let go and let God.
mm.
Beautiful. To let go of control.
Yeah.
To trust. To lean into your flow. And the reason why this podcast is called Surrender is a Verb, because I believe that when we do surrender and we do let go, we receive the divine downloads, the inspiration, the ideas that allows us to get up on our feet and into action and create the magic that we're here to create. What was interesting when I sent out forms for people to apply for the podcast, which you didn't have to complete, you're just in. What was interesting is that for a lot of people, I asked, like, was there a moment? Like for me, on my personal journey, there were various moments that I see as almost triggers or catalysts to my surrender. So one was when I was going through a divorce and my husband and I separated, and that whole process dropped me into a state of surrender. It was definitely a catalyst. And at the time, very painful. Looking back, I can see the gift. And for a lot of people that were completing the form, they didn't have a one big moment. It was more of lots of little moments and just a practice, which I think is what we land up settling into, is a practice of being surrendered in the moments. But for me, there were definitely some big bangs.
Big moments.
What about you?
This is interesting because this actually involves you. So I would say I was always learning how to surrender. I would say it took me a long time to really get it. And it was only when I was fully in my power. I can fully say, sitting here now, that's what I do on a daily basis. It's what I empower my clients to do as well. But I didn't always get it. I didn't always understand it. I didn't always embody it. And I think that is probably the biggest thing. The catalyst for me to be in that frequency of magic and miracles needed surrender. And it was after working with you that I honestly could say I understood it better. I embodied it daily because magic and miracles were real. They were happening in my life on a daily basis, and they were happening because I let go, because I surrendered, because I trusted so implicitly in my mission and who I be that could happen. Whereas before, I was chasing different things. I was chasing abundance for my journey with abundance. I was chasing abundance for the longest time. Little did I know, if I just surrendered, that abundance would be there. This has been one of the biggest years for me, abundance-wise, and I know it's because of a lot of the groundwork I have done with surrender. But there's two parts to me. There's a very academic side and a very tangible side, and then there's a very inspired, intuitive side. For me, I needed to see. And this is quite challenging. And who the hell am I to challenge God, if you think of it in that way?
Right.
But I wanted to see it. So it's fine. Make it real for me. This is what I want to see. And so when I was seeing the magic and miracles happening in my life daily, I then knew I was a fool if I didn't surrender. And that came out of a large portion of, you ran something called I'm a Magnet, and there was a portion of surrender in there, and I was getting it, and I was listening more to my intuition and spirit. And then we moved into something called Coded Clients that I did with you, which was phenomenal. And that was really, we had these workshops on a Monday where there's so many different things. I was raising my pricing, but I was coming into my power. I would say once you're in your power, it's easier to surrender, which may be a different story for others. But for me, that was certainly my story.
What a story. I'm so happy to hear that I was there by your side. I mean, I knew
You
I was,
were.
but I also didn't know, if that makes sense. Like I knew,
It
but
makes sense.
it's beautiful to hear. and to receive the appreciation. I'm taking it. I'm taking it. I will say, though, that there were a lot of people that went through I'm a Magnet. There were a lot of people that went through Coded Clients. And at the end of the day, it's because you were open to it and you were ready for it. And you also took the action. Surrender is a verb. It's actually you that created the magic. Yes, with the universe, we're all one, we're all connected. So connecting into pure love energy. But you created the magic through surrender. Right. I
And you
remember those
created I
Monday
am a
calls.
magnet.
I remember those Monday calls and Coded Clients, and you were the most enthusiastic, and you were always there, and you were in. In South
I was
Africa,
fully in.
in South Africa, is this the South African lotto? In it to win it. I don't know.
Totally.
Right, but you were, so it's credit to you. That's what I'm saying. And I think that a large part of surrender is the trust, is trusting.
Yeah.
That's how I see surrender. I see surrender is leaning back, letting go. But in order to lean back and let go, you have to trust.
And that's why I'm saying it was seeing that I was supported
Right.
that makes it easier for me to sit back now and do. Now, I was telling you in the beginning, I've just changed my whole business and I've been shown to shut down certain aspects and to open others. And I'm like, but I'm doing so well. I'm helping so many women. Are you joking? I've done all of this. Are you kidding me right now? But I know that when I do listen and I shut down everything that needs to be shut down, something new is going to come out that is going to be better, that can help more people. So, but if I'd have had the same download a year ago, I would have pushed until it all collapsed, which
Right.
is what the universe will do when you don't listen.
Which is why I had my
And
catalysts.
there we are. So, and I do think that came from, like I'm saying, I'm repeating myself, but when you're in your own power and you can go, it's fine. I trust spirit so much that I know it's going to be better. So I'm just going to listen.
Right. I think that listening part is really important.
Mm.
And I mean, the universe, God, source, spirit is always communicating to us. We are always connected. We're always connected. It's just our level of awareness to the fact that we are connected and our intention to listen. Like, are we prepared to listen? And then when we receive the messages, are we going to follow through with what we are being shown, being told, however it comes through? If I think on my own journey, when I was running the website and branding company, I knew for 3 years that I needed to move out of this business, maybe even longer. In fact, when I started the business, when I was still getting the logo designed, I wanted it to be a business that had a connection to soul. But I didn't have the confidence, I didn't have the guts. I was listening to everybody around me telling me that I was crazy and loopy and who am I to think this, and that's not the way the world works. And it's much more responsible to start a website and branding company that makes, that's much more respectable. And so I went down that path. But in truth, it was always being communicated to me. It was always being shown to me. It just took me a while to listen. And that's okay too.
Yeah. But there's a caveat on that, I think, is because if it's going to be so much easier the other way. It's exactly what you've said. We fear judgment, we fear approval of others, and we like to be comfortable.
Absolutely.
So it's like
It
this
takes
message
guts.
to let it does. But if you know it's going to be easier, why don't you just take the easy route?
Yep.
And I think and we even know because we can intuitively, a lot of us, we see it before it happens. I know I'm very visual. I've been shown detangle, take my collective down. I was like, do you know how much branding I have to change? Do you know how much time this is going to take me? Do you know what a mission this is going to be? And I could already feel the energy of my collective because I'd broken away from the collective. So I'd felt it detangle, and here's all my stuff sitting out there. And I'm like, Marianne, you know better. I'm like, yeah, I do, but it's a mission. And then I put some time aside and I went to change all those things. And some still need to be changed. But that's why I say if we know there's an easier route and that's the easier route, then why do we as human beings? Because we're used to pushing, we're not used to allowing.
Yeah. And we think that we have to push and we choose the harder route. And we think that also gives us naughty badges. And
The suffering, that's another thing. We think we have to suffer in order to achieve something.
right.
If you work with spirit, it's so much easier. It's magic and miracles.
Magic
Yes,
and
you're here to
miracles.
learn. Yeah, you're here to learn soul lessons. So there's going to be an ebb and there's going to be a flow, but that's part of your lesson. So I just think we could do things so much easier.
We can. And we've spoken about this before, you and I, but I'm going to mention it here now. Is that there's the easy way and and when I say easy, I'm not saying that we don't work hard. And I think that's a misconception when it comes to surrender. I feel like I have a million thoughts coming through at one time now. I need to slow down. But the misconception with surrender is that you are literally losing your agency, losing your power. You're giving your power away. You're giving your power away to spirit, source, God, the universe. And you're just like, okay, let it come, let it happen. That's not surrender. Surrender is trusting, and choosing to allow the universe to support you. And this brings me to the two paths that I was talking about now, where we can choose the hard path, and choosing the hard path doesn't mean that we're not going to get to the top of the mountain, so to speak, with blood, sweat, and tears, and maybe losing a leg along the way to a mountain lion.
Yeah.
And getting to the top and being battered and bruised and not able to stand up because we're exhausted. Hello, burnout. And then we can open up to the idea that perhaps we have universal support. Perhaps there is something beyond our physical being. Perhaps there is this energetic field, which is now scientifically proven, the quantum.
Boom.
We know it to be true. And when we start opening up to using energy and energetics and magic and miracles and spirit and source, and we say, okay, let me allow that support to come into my life. Let me surrender to my soul's intelligence, what's coming through, what are the messages that I'm receiving. Then we're able to bypass the drudgery and the hustle. And that's where it is easy. And again, easy is not necessarily meaning that it's not hard work, but the working hard is joyful. It's joyful.
Yeah.
If I think of my business now, and this is what I would love everybody to experience, is that you wake up and you're like, oh my God, this is what I get to do today.
100%.
And it's
But
possible.
you,
And it's really doable.
But you embody that, and that's what you've taught me. We're doing something that's so much fun in my Facebook group at the moment, and it just came from that's the way I want to do it. Where we're told in business, you need to do it this way and this way and this way. And you are great at that. That's what you have taught me. If I don't like something, I don't show up in that way. If I don't feel like something, but even then, that is another form of surrender, and I think that you do incredibly well. And through being mentored by you, that's what I get to claim right now. I circle with my woman once a month. There's no need to circle with them more than that, because the circle is deep and in that space, and I love being in that space. But it's not built like a normal program where for this capacity of time you must meet every week. We do it totally differently, but that's a surrender into whatever work is out there for you and how you do it. And what I also wanted to say while you were speaking, what came through for me, and I'm probably going to be hammered for this, is that by using that, it's a form of technology. The Atlanteans use technology.
Yes.
This is the same thing. The quantum field is a form of technology. Using energetics is a form of technology. So if
And
technology is going to...
that gives us acceleration.
Correct. So why are you going to go the other way again?
Exactly. So if anyone's listening, please follow the nudges and surrender and thank us later. But the thing is, it's scary, right? It's scary to surrender because we're
It
letting
is.
go of the known. So I have a question for you now, because you were saying that you needed to see, which is interesting for me, because for me, surrender is trusting in the unseen, not being able to see behind the scenes, the SEENSs, the scenes, and trusting. So can you now not see, receive the guidance, not see what's on the other side, and trust?
Now I can, yes. Now it's completely different. Now I literally, and also through this whole process, your intuition heightens, right? So I see, I talk about seeing, so I'm more your clairvoyant. So I see in pictures and screens. So the download comes and I get shown that. What I used to want to know is what's on the other side of that download, like you were saying. Now I can see the download and I know what to do with it.
Yeah.
And I know that I know it's going to be easier if I just listen to it. Whereas, like you were saying before, I wanted, like, that's fine. Then show me the abundance. That's fine. Show me that. And Spirit was great because I did need that to a large extent. And once I got into that, I would say energetic flow, then it snowballed into, weirdly enough, surrendering.
Yes. Okay. I want to take a note because I feel like there's something I want to remember here. And I feel like I just had this like, got it back. So I think a big part of surrender is when you surrender and continuing to surrender and continually surrendering, because it is a daily practice. It becomes a daily practice. And for me, it's a practice of deep trust, and it brings peace. So no matter what's happening around me, it's peaceful inside of me. And that will translate into what's happening around me. But life happens, and I think that the daily practice of surrender creates an energy of peace. But the point I was going to is that it opens you up to receiving divine downloads. And I think that so many people crave the connection, crave the, what is my one big idea? What is the thing that's going to bring me beautiful abundance? What should my book be about? What should the title of my book be? And we go into overthinking. So there's a lot of overthinking, not trusting, a lot of doubt when you do receive the divine downloads that come in, because they are always coming in. You don't recognize them. You're not able to see them because your mental brain is so full of overthinkingness, especially if you are an overachiever and ambitious. And the irony is that when you surrender and when you trust, that channel becomes so clear. And so for me, when I receive things, I don't know how I receive them. I think it's more of a knowing. So it's just there. And I just pick up a pen and I'm just like, oh, okay, the course is 3 things, boom, boom, boom. And those 3 things are boom, boom, boom. And I don't need more details than that, but it's like, it's all just poof, here.
Yeah.
And I can't tell you how long I craved that. I wanted that. I wanted that connection. I wanted that ability to be able to just, you know, have the clarity just naturally bubble up and just understand, oh, this is my next step in my business, or this is my next step in my relationship, or in my career, whatever it is. And the more that you push, the less that you have that ability to have it drop in. So I think one of the gifts that surrender brings is that ability to receive divine downloads and take action on them.
Exactly. But it's also like a relationship, right? So if you don't have a relationship with someone, there's no communication. So you need communication. So what does that mean? It means I listened to something so beautiful the other day. It's like you can make an appointment, and all that requires is actually, in a lot of the work I do, I teach my ladies, go make yourself a cup of tea and go sit on your pelvic bowl, for many different reasons, but it's basically to balance what's going on inside. So if you're sitting there and you're having a cup of tea and you have absolutely no distractions around you, you can sit with spirit and you can just by breathing, it can be so simple. Right. And like you're saying, when we're not overthinking, then we're allowing spirits to come in. We're allowing for inspiration. Whereas we're so busy bloody with schedules and doing things that we're not making time to just be. And what I also want to say to that is, what is the flip side of that? The flip side is anxiety. So if you're not just letting go and being present, you're going to be living in either the past, which is often depression, and the future, which is anxiety. So it makes sense to sit and be present for so much magic to happen.
Yeah. And so surrender is connected to presence.
I couldn't hear you.
Surrender, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Is connected to presence.
What is being connected to presence?
Surrender.
Surrender, yeah.
That's powerful. Trusting that in this moment, and for me, that's where the peace comes in, is being able to feel the peace in each moment.
It's massive.
So one last thing I want to, because I wrote it down earlier when you were chatting, and I thought about it right at the beginning when you mentioned it, is you spoke about how you were searching for abundance for so long, calling abundance in, but that attachment to having the abundance come in means that you're not surrendered, right?
No, I was chasing.
Yeah. Not allowing.
Yep.
Beautiful. What else would you say, if there's anything else that you would like to drop into the hearts of people who are listening that is going to support them on their surrender journey? What else would you say? Is there anything else that's coming through?
Yeah, what's coming through is trust who you be, trust yourself. And I always tell people, fly your freak flag high, because we are put in so many different positions by society, and it's really owning who you be where you can do that. And also look for containers, look for places. Nikki's got places, I've got spaces where you can be yourself, because half the time you're not supported because we think very differently. We are very different people. And a lot of the time, we are very creative beings. So it's about coming and honoring yourself. But by doing that, you often need to be supported. And that's why my healing journey was to be seen, heard, and felt. But it was being seen, heard, and felt in a sisterhood where people were not like me, but they had similar values. They had different things in life. And it's by surrounding yourself with those people that you strengthen what I would say your roots. And when those roots are strengthened, you can anchor and you can be. And that is when, I believe, that is when you can trust yourself. And I promise you, I've seen it. The universe, spirit, source will never ever let you down. So take inspired action and know it's a brave thing to do. But whatever you're receiving from spirit, when you act on that, it's a great exercise. Actually, you'll shock yourself, and then you'll do it again, and then you'll do it again a little more. So it really, I would say, is about trusting yourself and coming into your own power. But for that, you might need support.
And that's what you are so great at, that support. And I just want to re-emphasize that point around trusting who you are, because that's a big, I mean, it's almost like it's the key. It's the key, because who you are is the magic of you.
Mm.
And the magic of you is the gift of you. And that is what you get to share with the world. And the gift that you have to share with the world is not a gift for you to keep. It's a gift for you to share. And if you really want to be of service, if you really want to support humanity, if you really want to make a difference in the world, the best way that you can do that is to shine your most natural light of who you are. And the most powerful you, the most impactful you, is when you are honoring who you are and you're tapping into your most natural gifts. And this brings me right back to those evolved beings, the Atlanteans, who are coming into this podcast. Because there's definitely a sense that there is no... I read a book once about a lady who took a journey, a walk with the Aborigines. I'm trying to think what the book was called. And they communicated telepathically. And they also just like, you just naturally hold space and there is no competition. So the idea of a competition, like running a race, was completely foreign, because why would you? And what I took out of that book was the honoring of allowing everybody to be who they be. And that's the sense that I get when we are connecting into evolved beings, cosmic beings, that we can't necessarily comprehend how they operate, but they operate in the energy of oneness and in the energy of just allowing everybody to be who they be. And I read a book, I know I'm going in multiple directions here. I read a book about Atlantis as well. And it was interesting how each person was their natural gifts. That's what they were then schooled in.
Yeah.
So every person had like a different schooling based on who they be. And so there's just this beautiful harmony in the society because there's just this honoring. And so thank you for bringing that up, because I feel like that is the key to not only surrender, but for us to be able to live out the fullest expression of who we are in this lifetime, joyfully. And in that way, we are sharing our magic and our gifts.
I was getting the same download about the joy. And that's what is manifesting. Manifesting is never about the thing or the money, it's about the feeling.
Yeah, the vibration, the frequency, the energy.
Yeah.
Everything is energy.
Boom.
Boom. There's one last quote I want to share. I might share it on every single podcast. And it's in one of Elizabeth Gilbert's books, but her partner, it's her quote, and it is, and I may not say it correctly, but it's about truth. The truth has legs, it always stands. When everything else in the room blows up, the only thing left standing will be the truth. So you might as well start there.
I love it.
It's beautiful. And so that is the truth of who you are. And it's who you naturally are. You don't need to search for it. You don't need to do a course. It's who you are. Ding. It's always so juicy to chat to you. Thank you for being here. Please share where people can find you. What is your, too scared to ask? What is your latest offer? What are you burning down? What are you creating? What would you like to share with everyone if they want to reach out to you?
So if they want to reach out to me, Instagram is probably the easiest. And
Okay.
it's called Empowered Woman. So empowered woman spelled WOMBEN is woman, because I work with many sisters. And I would say I'm not going to tell you what I'm burning down, but something that is burning up and within me at the moment that I'm so excited about is I am starting to run what we call women's rites of passage retreats. And
Ooh.
yeah. And we all come together and we witness each other move through our rite of passage. Now that's so different. So for instance, and I see this a lot, particularly women going through perimenopause, they don't know where to turn. And so this is an initiation into that path through ceremony every evening, and the whole day is focused on that particular transition. So it's really such a beautiful way of leaning into the divine feminine and being held by sisters. And that's really what I'm all about. So that's the next exciting thing that's burning up inside of me. But you're always welcome in my inbox to ask me anything. Particularly with womb wisdom, I think people get confused and it's a lot coming at you at once.
Yeah.
And I'm always there to help and answer any questions.
And is Womunity sticking around?
Yes, Womunity is a Facebook group. It's completely free. It supports my mission of women being seen, heard, and felt. There is always something in there. I sometimes do once a month, every 2 months. It's often a womb awakening, a womb activation, but it's all about the feminine, and there's stacks of resources and workshops in there that you can help yourself to, and it's completely free, and that's a Facebook group.
Awesome. And I'm there too.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you, Mary Ann. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you.
Sending you so much love, and thank you for being the first beautiful soul on Surrender is a Verb. It was a real joy.